longer. Anyway, I'd like to call the Finance Committee meeting to order for March 19th. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be aware this meeting is in person and we are being recorded.
So, Madam Chair, today we have on our agenda, we haven't had this in quite some time, the Greater New Bedford Regional Vocational Technical High School to go over, as you know, the assessment for the town and to go over some of the items that they are looking forward to and some items, some projects that they're working on. I had forwarded that to the group. So we'd like to invite Mike Watson to the podium. Thanks,
Good
Mike.
morning. Good evening. What time of day is it?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Hours just roll past into the next one, so.
Well, they're going to start picking on you now.
Yeah, they will. Thank you very much for that, and I'm really happy to be here. It has been a few years since we've been back before the Dartmouth Finance Committee, but as you know, we're perfectly willing to come every year. These are taxpayer funds, and we want to be able to speak directly to you folks and townspeople about any questions that they have of what's happening at the Regional Vocational School District. Several members of this committee joined some of the town administration at the Dartmouth Day, which we try to do annually, if not biannually, to make sure that we're inviting elected and appointed officials responsible into the community. We did one for New Bedford and for Haven to make sure they're able to see the school, but also to understand kind of the strategic vision of what we're doing every single day. So it's great to see all of you again. We did send over the assessments for the last few years, as Gary had asked us to do. We are in the process, just so you folks are aware, of finalizing the FY27 budget. Our subcommittee of the school committee is actually meeting the next 3 Monday nights at 6:30. We have just completed an internal review of the asks by members of our team. We're in the process of looking at that. We certainly can answer questions that members may have tonight related to that. But I figured we would at least be able to share some of the assessment figures and things that will be required of the town of Dartmouth while we service kids. I'm also able to speak a little bit to the lottery process, which was implemented last year statewide. That has contributed, in this case, to fewer students from the town of Dartmouth that are enrolled here, and that's what you see most notably in your FY27 assessment. So I'm happy to walk through this. I'm also happy to answer any questions. I have Pamela Stewart with us. She's our school business administrator. She's certainly able to speak to any of the financial details that I'm unable to do so. And Zeb Baruta, who's our director of facilities. That position obviously is responsible for a lot of the work that we're doing as we expand access to career technical vocational education, as well as the upkeep and maintenance of a 50-year-old building next year. And so we're very focused on that. And as I shared with members of the administration and finance committee folks, you see a lot of new school building projects that are popping up across the Commonwealth. We see them in our local comprehensive districts as well. That's not where we are. The building, thankfully, is in great shape. But I want to be real upfront and honest. As the last note comes due at the end of the decade, our plan is to come back before the town meetings and city council to continue that, right? We won't be asking for a $400 million new school, but we will be asking for renovations of a 50-year-old building. And my approach to that is basically, you've been making a debt payment for the last 15 years. Our hope is to be able to keep that payment the same so it doesn't negatively impact the budgeting process for you folks as we address the next 20 or 30 years of regional vocational education in our region. So like I said, I'm happy to walk through this. I'm happy to answer questions. I'm not sure what the pleasure of the committee is.
Yes,
Gary,
could I ask a question?
Of course.
Mike, the transportation costs in like fiscal year 23 were way up, and then fiscal year 24 plummeted way down. Was there any like rhyme or reason to how that worked out? Any scenario?
Transportation, fixed costs, and debt, and I'll call Pam up if I fumble this one, but they are a percentage of the operational budget. So as your student enrollment goes up, your cost goes up associated with that. So it's basically a percentage of the operating budget. So for example, whatever your contribution rate is, your percentage of the minimum contribution to the district, transportation, fixed costs, and debt exclusion are the same percentage of what that overall budget is for the communities.
Mike,
Go ahead, Pam, if you want to jump in.
I just wanted to add that the net of the transportation cost for each of the sending districts is net after the Chapter 71 allotment that we are provided by the state. So it's our total cost minus the Chapter 71 assessment that we receive from the state, then it's divided based on the operational percentage.
Ratio.
Can I ask a question, Janine?
Yes.
It might be helpful to explain the financing, because I know that sometimes when people come on and learn about this and they see that there's no input from us on the budget, why is that? And that whole thing about enrollment.
Yeah. So I'm going to start with that piece, and then I'll pass it off to Pam to kind of do probably a better job on the percentage baked around the meat. But so in Massachusetts, the funding formula per student is established by statute, right? The challenge, and sometimes where the confusion comes in for members, is in Dartmouth, we pay a larger percentage of the per pupil cost, whether the student goes to Bristol Aggie, Greater New Bedford Voc Tech, or the comprehensive district in Dartmouth. That's just the way the statute is. It's based on what the Commonwealth determines is the community's ability to pay. So for example, you may see that the New Bedford assessment, and they have 3 times the number of students at least, their assessment is equal or maybe just a little bit greater than what Fairhaven and Dartmouth would pay per child, and that's because of the community's ability to pay. So from an enrollment standpoint, that money is pretty much established based upon the funding formula. We're not asking for 6% more or any number like that you would see.
Okay. Yes, sorry.
No, that's all right. So thank you for the information, and I totally surfed your website, and I appreciate the website, very, very much. As you know, I'm fairly new. I appreciate Dartmouth Day.
Yeah.
Loved walking the building and the facility and all of that, and just talking like I do here, so thank you very, very much for that. I found the website really very informative. I read your pause. I appreciate all the events scrolling down as I get to be adult learner and figure that all out. I really appreciate the adult ed offerings to like wastewater service operators for their CEU certifications. And I think our DPWs and our wastewater and CEUs for all of those certifications and those offerings are really critical. So thank you very much for that. When you say the operations ratio percentage, is that October 1 enrollment from the previous year? So it's Oc 1 previous year, all operating and debt, all October 1 enrollment driven.
Yes, so fiscal
Okay.
27 is October 1 of 2025's information.
Right. But I just see operations ratio, but that's enrollment ratios.
Yes, it's
Okay,
the total student population, and then
Wonderful.
your enrollment number divided by the total student.
Can I
Did
just
all-
interrupt briefly? Pam, can you possibly go to the
Come
microphone?
up, yeah,
Because it
so they
won't
can
be
get you on the
picked up.
Yes. The operational budget number is based on the total student enrollment, then it would be the Dartmouth enrollment, and then that would be how the percentage is calculated.
fabulous.
And it's the October 1 of 2025 that is going to generate the fiscal 27
And did all
ratio.
3 towns come together at the same time and form the region?
I
same
believe,
year?
yes, I believe the regional agreement from 1977 is all 3 towns signed at the same time.
And could we have a copy of that? When I was surfing, I couldn't find that.
Yes.
And I think that's really a very important piece, because for those folks that people came in afterwards and debt was incurred prior to them joining, you see some communities with some struggles right now. So it's good to know that that is all the same regardless moving forward. So that's very helpful.
Yes, I will forward it to Mr. Carrero tomorrow, and then he
Awesome.
can send it out to the.
Thank you very, very
I
much.
just have a fun fact. I don't know what year, but years ago, the town of Dartmouth sued the Commonwealth of Mass because they felt that this was an unfair formula. And of course, they lost because it is law.
I remember that.
Well, it's true, because when you look at the Chapter 70 for the VOC as a whole, it's $42 million, Chapter 70 as a whole, so 42 million. We're a minimum aid community, and so that gets factored in the equalized valuation calculation. So per pupil at, 30,000 versus our below state average at 8. Is kind of a juxtaposition that we're kind of speaking about locally. In regards to excess and deficiency at 2.5%, what is the balance of excess and deficiency at this point?
I didn't bring that exact number with me this evening, but it is 5% of our operational budget. So it's around 2.4, 2.6 million at this
4
time.
2.6?
Yes.
Great, thank you very, very much.
So let me
Appreciate it.
just clarify that. So our, the maximum we're allowed under the statute is 5%, and so we are right up against the 5%. That is something that we try to do every single year. I would say, I don't have the number either, but 4.8, 4.7% is where we are, with that same goal at the end of this year to make sure when that's certified that we're adding back to that account.
I appreciate that very, very much. I think vocationals can keep excess and deficiency at 5. School committees can keep school choice that is subject to appropriation by the school committee. Your towns can keep free cash and stabilization funds. So everybody's trying to stay afloat. And so, but I think from a perspective of understanding and those agreements and regionalizations, I think it's a great conversation to be had. So
So
thank you very, very
Yeah,
much.
I'd want to just expound on 2 points, because I think those are great points for us to talk about. Post-secondary programs is on our radar. So you talked about some of the adult education aspects. Actually, next week, we're going to travel out to the western part of the state to visit a school that has a post-secondary program for us to learn during the day, one day, for us to think about how we could do that going forward. And these are not 9 through 12 programs, but these would be 13, 14, or beyond. We're in the final stages of agreeing to a MOU with the Bristol Community College to offer a welding program in the 13, 14 space that will start next September. And so one of our goals strategically, as I think I've mentioned during the Dartmouth Days and others, is to expand beyond the 9 through 12 model into the post-secondary model to make sure that we're not only attracting and educating students in high school, but being part of the greater community partnerships with places like Mass Hire and the Career Center in order to take underemployed adults and put them back into a training program that can move it. So that is very much a part of the next several years for us, and we're starting to take some of those early trips now to be able to think about and learn from other successful programs around the state. The second thing that I want to mention with regards to E&D, and I appreciate you bringing that up, is, from our vantage point, those are one-time operating dollars, and, we spend them on one-time recurring expenses. And so I want to make sure that you folks are aware of the fact that under no circumstances would we be using excess and deficiency accounts for recurring expenses. We would only use those for operating expenses. And the reason for that, obviously, is as they dwindle, it creates different financial challenges. So I just want you to have a philosophical argument, understanding of where we are as a leadership team as well.
Mike, can you talk a little bit about the lottery system and how that's played a factor in the enrollment maybe reducing a little bit?
Yeah.
Like where we were and where we are now, and
Yeah, this definitely, this year, 284 kids is the lowest number of Dartmouth students that have been enrolled at Greater New Bedford Voc Tech in the last 5 years. New Bedford saw an increase. The state statute now around the lottery is that districts are required to conduct a randomized lottery where every applicant gets at least one opportunity. We have chosen to add 2 weights to those criteria where students could get extra chances. Those 2 weights are defined by statute now, by regulation actually by the board. You have to have 27 or less unexcused absences in the 270 school days that precede halfway through your 8th grade year, right? That's most kids, right? That's most kids. Not all kids, but that's a lot of kids. And the second statute is a discipline statute, because those were the 2 areas that during the entire debate over the last 5 years, that I felt most strongly about, right? The difference in Chapter 74 education compared to the comprehensive education is that, if your child is homesick, for a couple of days, we can send the math work home via the Google Classrooms. We can't send a lathe machine home, right? That's a problem to be able to recoup 6 hours worth of education. And so attendance it's important in all schools. It's particularly important during a vocational setting, because you're going to interact specifically in most of our programs with the equipment that we have on staff. And then the discipline piece, I hope, is self-explanatory, right? We're not talking about discipline infractions where 2 kids get into a pushing match in the lunchroom, or somebody throws a piece of gum at somebody else. We're talking about working with blowtorches and kitchen knives and those types of situations. We have to just make extra sure that we're not going to have one of those situations. Now, the state has relaxed that standard considerably. You cannot be disqualified under the new regulations unless you have a felony conviction, which is incredibly rare in Massachusetts for a 7th or 8th grader. I mean, I think there were 60 or 70 kids statewide. So pretty much every kid is getting the ball when they apply. They're getting the ball for the discipline, and 2/3 to 3/4 of the kids are getting the attendance ball as well.
so it's a true application to
Yeah.
to the schools now.
Yeah. So one of our goals, obviously, and I think everyone shares this goal, it's taken some time to build relationships with the sending communities because, as you know, it's a largely financial issue to a lot of the sending districts, right, and to the communities. And I certainly have tried to convey that to you folks when you're with us. But I say this, as bluntly and sincerely as I can, is our goal is to make sure that families have access to the education that they choose. And in our space. And so, my child is a sophomore at Dartmouth High School, and I have an 8th grader at the middle school. And so I make no apologies for that just because I'm the superintendent at Greater New Bedford Voc Tech. But I will also say that if a family chooses to have a vocational technical education, that child should have access to that education. And so with that in mind, we are trying to expand access because our wait list is several hundred students per year. We have filed 2 applications this year to add a construction craft labor program to our facility. We are hoping to open that in September, but there's a process with the department to go through to get approval for that. Certainly, we will not have the entire 8,700 square foot facility ready for September. I mean, I think anybody who's watching the construction area today would be able to know that, but we are aggressively working to get the freshman space up and running and to meet the expectations of the department. We've worked with the department on through the Executive Office of Education on an expansion grant. We've worked with private vendors. The district is allocating its capital funds to earmark towards this because our goal is to increase enrollment by about 50 students per year as soon as next September, but definitely by September of '27. And so our goal is to take the school from about 2,150 kids to close to 2,400 kids by the end of the decade.
Can you talk a little bit about how the students get to try out the different programs before they land into one?
Yeah, another great question. So in Massachusetts, under Chapter 74, which is the guidance for vocational technical education, students are required to participate in an exploratory process. Currently, we have students going through 15 of our 24 programs, but our plan over the next couple of years is to revamp our schedule and to try and create a model where all kids can see all programs. That's our goal. We are likely to expand. This is not in any way official at this point because we're having conversations about it. The time in exploratory, it's roughly half a year now. It may end up being 2/3 of the year, but the goal is to make sure that kids are able to see all of their programs. As I shared at the Dartmouth Day, and I've certainly spoken about it in our own school committee meetings, we are now tracking that data very aggressively over the last 3 years. So when kids apply, they tell us what their top 6 programs are. Kids go through the exploratory process. At the end of it, they tell us what their top 6 programs are. We're seeing what programs we're able to draw kids in at a higher rate from what they thought before they came, and we're seeing which programs are not attracting kids. And that is driving a lot of our discussions and decisions as a leadership team. Obviously, 1 year doesn't create a trend or create a data set, but 3, 4, and 5 years starts to paint a very different picture about what kids are interested in. And that has led us into some of the construction trades, the partnership with LIUNA around construction craft labor, our expansion of our business office tech program, as we think about what some of those roles and workforce needs are in our region.
Maybe you, now that we've talked about the assessment and the numbers, maybe go over some of the current projects that you're working on, and then maybe future projects that the school's looking at.
So we absolutely can. I can actually have Zeb come up in a minute. I'll let him collect his thoughts and talk about some of these facility projects that are down the bottom. By far, the biggest is the expansion project for construction craft labor and our revamping of the business model. And as I said, we are earmarking north of $1 million a year now for the next couple of years around that project. And again, what I hope that the FinCom will hear in that is that we are attempting to be very good stewards of the taxpayer money and making sure that we're investing strategically in the upkeep of the building in addition to our operational costs. We've been very lucky and very fortunate to have partners out in the community that we're able to meet with, and several of them have donated hundreds of thousands of dollars in the last few years to help renovate and modernize lab spaces. We think that those relationships are kind of critical to making sure that our building is able to not only be good stewards of taxpayer money, but also expand its longevity through partnerships with different business owners and organizations. So I'll have Zeb come up and he can walk you through some of the major projects. And I just wanted to also come back before and let you know about the budget for FY27, a couple of key pieces, and to share my commitment that we would happily share that with you in a few weeks when it's ready.
Thank you, Mike. Good afternoon. I'll go through that list to give you like a 2-minute brief description of what's going on there. The first one up there is the Engineering Visual Media Programs move. So over the years, what's happened is a lot of our shops in the past aren't all together. So you'd have 2 media classes here, one over there, 2 engineering there, one over here. So as time has gone by, what we've developed a master plan, and this project actually started like 3 years ago. And like, you know, we only got 6 weeks in the summer to get this stuff done before the kids come back. So this is part of the master plan where we're bringing all the shops together. All the engineering shops and robotics will be together, and all our media and visual students, they will be together. So at the end of this year, we will be like 90% there, and then the following summer, we got a couple of little things to do, and then that project will be completed. CCL, Mr. Watson spoke about. The next one is a cooling tower. We have a cooling tower, part of our program, part of the cooling system for the school. As it's been alluded to, our building is 50 years old, for all intents, and you know, my wife told me the other day, when you get up, Zeb, you're starting to make a lot of noises, right? And it's just like our buildings, right? Guess what? They look sometimes nice on the outside, but the insides, they're getting old, the infrastructure part of it. Your undergrounds, your electrical panels, and your valves, and all of that good stuff is starting to fail. Well, in our cooling tower, all the pipe work in there, you know, after 50 years is completely corroded. We went down there, and I think if we grabbed a hammer with a good shot, we could smash those pipes. So part of one of the projects we have actually starting next month is to replace all that pipe work in our cooling tower. The main entrance wall, if you've been to New Bedford Voc Tech, once you walk into New Bedford Voc Tech, we've just installed a large screen TV. That wall right there, the next time you see it after this summer, you will see that whole wall has been converted into a wall made of wood, and all our shop names will be engraved in that, all those wood panels throughout it. Completely removable, so if we get a new shop, change a name or whatever, we can flop those names out, put a brand-new planter in the front of it. It's called Biophilic Engineering. So what we want to do is bring the outside feel into the school. So as you know, you walk into Voc Tech, you'll see that it's got that little wall there with flowers and shrubbery behind it. Well, we want to create that on the inside. So if you can envision that beautiful wooden wall, and in front a beautiful planter, and with a nice seating edge where the students can sit right on that wall in the morning, or during passing periods, or whatever it may be. So it'll create a very nice entrance into the school. The next one is cafeteria seating. We're running out of room for our kids to sit. So it's time to upgrade our seats, time to upgrade our tables. With this move here, we're going to increase the seating in our cafeteria by nearly 75 to 100 seats, and we'll be all set for the future, preparing for whatever renovations or growth the school may have going forward. Cafeteria pot washing unit, it's exactly what it is. It's a pot washing unit it's run its course. It's falling apart. It's set to arrive in April, May. At the school, and that's going to be one of our summer projects to completely revamp that for our cafeteria staff. Installing downdraft tables in the metal fab program. Right now, we have a rather large, probably 30 to 40 foot area with a ventilation unit on it, really outdated where our students work in. And so with this purchase of all these downdraft tables, we get to remove this humongous piece out of the center of the shop area, bring it out to the walls with all these automatic downdraft tables. These things don't need ventilation units anymore. They self-ventilate themselves. So it just kicks that program into the next step, into the future there. Remodeling academic classrooms. So 50-year-old building, right? Here we go again, right? So we got a lot of false walls, movable walls, collapsible walls, whatever you want to call them. Back in the day, 40, 50 years ago, they would collapse the wall and 2 classes would become 1. And that fit very well for the then amount of students they had. no longer that happens at Voc Tech. Those collapsible walls now have permanent wooden structures on it, et cetera, et cetera. And what's happening is, I teach on this side, you teach on that side, guess what? We can hear each other teach. So it becomes a little bit of a nuisance for the teachers, and so over the past 3 years, we've been attacking it, 3, 4, 5 classrooms every year, and I think by the end of next summer, we will have corrected that issue for the school entirely. Electrical sophomore CVT area upgrade. Again, every year, we always have funding to keep upgrading our programs, keep upgrading our school. Our school looks good. Yeah, it does, but it's because of the investment, you know? I mean, you invest a little bit every year into it, 30, 40 years from now, we're still there looking good. So part of it is to upgrade our programs. So the electrical sophomore program, if you saw it before, we dismantled all of their workstations in the classroom, in the shop area. We rebuilt the whole thing in there. I think some of you walked the area with me that day, and you saw the new bays that they're building there for the electrical students. And the great thing about it is our students are doing the building. So the carpentry students come into electrical. So we develop a plan in-house. Guess who does the plan? Our engineering kids do the plan. Our architectural students do the plan. So they draw it up. Our carpentry kids come along with obviously with their instructors. They build it. If we need any plumbing, if we need electrical, if we need whatever, we do it all in-house. Takes a little while, yes.
Do you think the engineering group could come over here and do some of the feasibility?
Yes, great idea.
You read my mind.
That's one of the things I had to get used to when I went to Voc Tech about 8.5 years ago. It takes a little longer. But you gotta love this. The labor is this, right? When they do it, right? The labor cost is this. So it's a beautiful thing, right? So we
You
just
have
gotta have a
time.
little bit of patience. That's it. But they do a great job. And that's what's going on right now. And I don't know, you want to talk about the future, or you want me to?
No, go ahead.
Oh, so the roof, as you know, the roof is, she's 25 years old right now, 24, 25. The warranty has expired. I got a section of the roof that I got sandbags up there. Remember the old hidden parts of the building, right? It's up there. I got sandbags holding it down right now. At some point in the next couple of years, and I spoke to Mr. Watson about that, we got to address the roof. I mean, we need the envelope of that building solid so that it can, bricks, windows, roof. We get that completely sealed, the inside stays together a lot longer.
Is there any preliminary numbers on that, or?
We got some, I think they were either pre-COVID or during COVID.
Oh, so it's a while back,
So
yeah.
it was a few million. Yeah, a few million to get that roof done.
Square
With
footage?
the
Yeah,
NSBA?
let's compare.
Square footage?
Well,
525,000.
Square footage? Roof?
Do you work with the MSBA on that?
yeah,
Yeah, okay.
If we were to do something, it would be with the MSB.
yeah, for sure. But it's definitely something we can't keep kicking that can down the road, because everybody knows in here, those costs of roof repair are astronomical, and the damage that can happen in the building's even worse. So, for the most part, she's still holding together. I just got a small section up there that's starting to fall apart. Fieldhouse ADA compliant locker rooms, it's exactly what that says. Built 50 years ago. We didn't look at these things 50 years ago. We didn't look at, ADA compliant, Title IX, all of these things. We didn't look at these things. And it's getting to the point where, with the growth of the school, the amount of students we have, locker rooms, the locker rooms are from 50 years ago. They don't fit the kids anymore. They don't, for the needs of the athletic program. I got boys downstairs, I got girls upstairs, showers that aren't functional in different areas. So at some point, that's another area of the school that we're going to have to invest some funding in there and revamp it at some point. Siemens system upgrade, that's our building operations system. And we actually monitor that in-house. Actually, one of our teachers monitors it with their students. That system needs to be upgraded. We're in conversations right now with Siemens. We have been for the past 2 months. We're going to change systems, upgrade the system. The system we have now, they no longer can support it. So basically, if it fails, they go, "Hey, Zeb, we can't help you out," right? Basically, that's what they're gonna tell us. So we're in the process of working all the details out with that and how to get to that point, and then we're gonna upgrade our system. Emergency generator upgrades. A lot of our systems, again, due to age, if something fails in the school, we don't have home run electrical lines running down to the generator. So right now, I'm getting prices from electrical firms to give us some numbers to be able to run all of these panels or systems that are on one point of the school to the generator. So it's not a lot of areas, but there are still some areas, because it's critical for us. If we lose power, we need to make sure we maintain, obviously, our two-way radio systems need to continue working. Our PA system needs to continue working. Our IT needs to continue working, so none of that fails. If you lose power, you get a couple of lights come on, but everything else needs to stay running. So we're working through that program right now. And finally, the outside, the exterior. Just like our roads, right? The parking lots need to get redone. They're getting old. And before we do our parking lots, there's electrical, and it's not on here, but I'll just throw that out there. The electrical underground for all our lights was all direct buried. So for those who know what I'm talking about, when you direct bury and you don't put it in a sleeve, a PVC pipe, they may tell you it's going to last you forever. That forever was 50 years ago. Guess what? It's falling apart. So now when you lose a light, you have no idea where this thing collapsed. So you got to dig from point A to point B to find the break in this pipe and replace it. And we have hundreds and hundreds of underground electrical feet out there to obviously to all the lights. We need to upgrade that. Once we do that, put fresh asphalt on it, and we'll be off and running. And again, that's in part of our future projects.
So the last phase was a stadium, right? Well, was that one of the last phases of,
The last
Upgrade.
on the outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we did redo the turf
Yep.
field. That was in 2017, and we just redid it. What did we just do, the track again?
The track.
The track was just redone the last couple of summers. But yes, the football field will be due again probably in a couple of years, so.
And the physical plant fields and all is physically in New Bedford,
Correct,
all of it?
correct.
Great, thank you.
It's interesting, though, that's another spot that we're gonna look at next week. So in Belchertown, Palmer, they leased an old elementary school to expand opportunities. That's the first I had heard about that maybe 6 months ago. So as part of this move, next week, we're gonna visit Pathfinder Tech, who is in Palmer, Mass., but is also leasing an elementary school in Belchertown to expand program offerings, so.
For their Vogue,
For their Vogue.
for their Vogue.
It's an interesting idea because the law has changed. Used to be able to lease property for up to 5 years. It's now up to 25 years. So whether that be a community center or an old elementary school, lots of vocational schools are starting to look at expansion opportunities that way.
is that an intermunicipal agreement between the
Yeah, it is.
district and the?
Yeah. Yeah, they're closing that elementary school in Belchertown and leasing that property to Pathfinder. I don't know the details. I've spoken to the superintendent there a few times, and like I said, on the way back, next week, we're going to stop and see it, just because I want to be able to see it, and then we'll see where it goes.
Very interesting.
Yeah, it's those kinds of creative ideas that we just need to, it's worth the time. It might not be a pathway that, fits in our region ever, but let's learn about it, let's see what it is, and at least we're a little more knowledgeable for it.
Can you go back to, I was just thinking of it before and we got sidetracked. You were going to add some additional programs beyond 12th, and you mentioned welding. What other types of things were you thinking of?
In the 13-14 space? Yes. Okay, so the welding program is a partnership with BCC. We expect that will run in September. We do run several programs through the CTI program, which is a Commonwealth Technical Institute. We've run marine, we've run welding, we've run automotive, we've run culinary. We've run several of those 200-hour programs, and that's in collaboration with Mass Hire in the Career Center. They're looking to recruit underemployed folks who want to grab new skills and learn new skills through the CTI program with the state. So we've been pretty aggressive in that space over the last 3 or 4 years. I think we're on round 11 right now that we're applying for 5 new programs. That process is underway. Hopefully, we get that funding, and then we would run those programs with them. But those are the kinds of things, again, the goal from where I try to articulate this to folks is we want the school building to be open from 7 to 7, 7 to 8, 7 to 9, so that we're not only servicing kids during the day, but that we have a space available at night for those retraining programs. And of course, we're running all of our Greater New Bedford Voc Tech Institute, GNBVTI Institute classes, relicensing electricians, relicensing plumbers, those kinds of folks that are already in the trades but need to accumulate additional hours. We run those programs on site at night all year long. So recently, we were able to, because of a lot of these grant funds, we actually created an adult education specialist. So we now have a person that is there from 2 to 9:30, 1 to 8:30, pretty much 5 days a week, that is overseeing that wing. So that's a sign that used to be kind of put together by a few part-time people who were supervising, but the revenue streams have been such that we're able to support that position, so we can continue looking to grow that space. And that's one of the reasons why I want to look at the post-secondary space next week.
So most of the projects that you're undergoing, obviously the future projects, some of the larger projects will have to be borrowing. I mean, but you're maintaining the facility with basically your retained earnings.
That's right.
Pretty much on the short-term stuff.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously that's a challenge for every district. We're very intentional about that. That doesn't always make you the most popular person on the campus, right? Because everybody wants to find every available dollar, right? Whether it's the teacher unions or it's this parent group or that parent group or this program. But we're pretty intentional about making sure that we're investing in the capital infrastructure, right? Because that is a key piece of making sure that we extend the lifetime and solvency of this particular building. So, I think we're doing a pretty good job of it. As I was going to say earlier, we've reallocated funds because obviously we don't want to be taking funds away, whether it's a cost of living increase for our staff. We need to think about how we can do the work differently. So our administrative structure has changed in the last 5 years. We've reorganized the administration. We're probably down about 12% in administrative costs since 2021, reallocating responsibilities. We've asked a little more of some people, given them a small bump, but eliminated other positions. We've done that typically through attrition, so that we don't have to lay folks off and create a culture where that's concerning. But we have been very strategic when folks give us notice about, that they're retiring. And there are bonuses in our contracts. If you give us 12 months, it gives us plenty of time to think about how we can do that differently. We have been able to reduce positions, 10 or 12% of positions, and then reallocate those funds into some of our capital infrastructure spaces. So it doesn't impact operations as much. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's not enough to get to your $1 million.
Yeah.
But
in turn, doesn't also increase the assessment.
It does.
So you're not having to increase operational.
That's right. That's right.
Like, I'm just curious, can a student only apply to Voc when they're entering their freshman year?
No.
There's
So-
more
that's
opportunities
right.
in this lottery system now.
Yeah.
How many opportunities do they?
2. So freshman and sophomore
Sophomore.
year.
They
Yeah.
can still.
Yeah, and that's important to know. It's not a question that gets asked all the time. For example, last year, I think we had 35 sophomores seek admission, and they all got in. So, so that's, I don't want to call it a secret, because it's not a secret, it's very publicized, but that's not the case for freshmen. But like anything else, kids come, some kids love it, and some kids return to their districts. And so our plan is to make sure, consistent with what the goal is, we want to make sure we have fully enrolled classes, not only for our own fiscal responsibilities in running the school, but also to meet the spirit of the fact that there's 1,000 kids that say they want to voc education as freshmen. Let's make sure that at least we're offering that opportunity. And last year, I think 700 kids out of the 1,000 were offered a seat. Some came, some didn't, some came and then left, and then the next round of kids were accepted. But we do that again at the sophomore year, and we will be doing that again this year as we expand out our business tech program.
Going back to the, after grade 12 programs, do you offer an LPN program yet or no? I think, is that something that the school is thinking of?
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's such a need.
Practical nursing is the area that we're looking at next week out west. So,
Good question.
definitely thinking about that partnership that's out there. There are a few programs, few schools that have that, some including in our area, but that is one that I want to see up close. So we're going out there to see that specifically at McCann.
Okay.
So that's one of the primary reasons, that post-secondary program in practical nursing, but also that LPN component, because there are lots of jobs in that marketplace
Yep.
for LPNs. And so,
Yep.
yeah, we see that need. It's listed all over the Southeast Regional Blueprint. So we want to try to capitalize on that.
That's nice. Thank you.
Anybody?
Mike, what percentage of Dartmouth eighth graders approximately would you say applied at Greater New Bedford?
Close to 50%. Close to 50%. I would say in that neighborhood, 50%. I mean, I can tell you that last year there were 1,600 possible eighth graders in the region, and just over 1,100 applied. So we're just shy of 75%, 70%-ish, 67 to 70% of eligible eighth graders in public schools apply. And that is consistent across a lot of the state. And again, I go back to what I said earlier, and I just genuinely believe this as a dad and as an educator, is we need to make sure in Massachusetts that we're offering the education that families are telling us that they need. That's our job, right? As taxpayers, as educational institutions, and families need choices to be able to do that. And so we're trying to do our part. We have partnered with New Bedford, and next year for Haven, we're running what's called an After Dark program from 3 to 6. What that is basically kids go to their comprehensive district for their academics, like at 10:30 or 11. We bus them over to Greater New Bedford Voc Tech in the afternoon, and they're in a program in the afternoon. We run carpentry and plumbing with New Bedford. We're running electrical next year with Fairhaven. There are grants around that, and that's something I can certainly speak to the Dartmouth folks about as well. They've been fantastic. We've had a great relationship with the Dartmouth administration as well. Because defending them, the problem with the way that used to be structured is, they can't afford to split the money with us, right? And so, but the good news is there are a lot of program grants out there that will provide 2 years of startup costs so that Dartmouth gets to claim the student, get the full funding, and the grant will pay us to run the program. And we're just charging cost, right? Which is actually a little better every year because I said we have that person now supervising all programs. So we used to have to pay for a special person to be the administrator. We don't have to do that anymore. So that's an option for us to consider looking at in the future to get more Dartmouth kids access to that in a way that doesn't harm the Dartmouth Public Schools budget because they would claim the student, right? They would put the kid through the plumbing program with us, but at graduation time, they would claim the Chapter 74 certification for plumbing. And they would just compensate us for the cost of that program. So we're trying that with Fairhaven next year in electrical. We've done that obviously for a couple of years with New Bedford.
So the success rate, like if you measured a student that went through the plumbing program or electrical program, or even carpentry, that success rate at the end of graduation, what does that look like? Back up now into the field, like as an apprentice or as a, is that 100% right through the, I mean. obviously it
Different
takes
by
some-
programs, right? So that's one of the misconceptions I think that's out there sometimes for Voc Tech Ed, is that some of our programs do require us to go on to 2- and 4-year schools. I think sometimes people get concerned about the wrong kids are going to the school. But, honestly, in dental assisting, folks are going on to education. Oftentimes, medical assisting, going on, engineering, going on, right? It's likely that a carpenter could go into the field, right? It's kind of one of the things that we're looking at with construction craft labor. I don't know how familiar you folks are with LIUNA. They're probably the largest construction craft labor trade union in Massachusetts. We've worked with them to help launch this program because the goal is to get our graduates in that program right into their training facility and into the jobs to pay a living wage. And they're the ones doing the work on the highways and things like that where there's a vast need in the Commonwealth around those things too. So some programs, the answer would be yes, the pathway is a little larger, the percentage is a little higher directly into the trades, but there are a good number of programs, 60% or so of our kids that go on and pursue post-secondary degrees.
I have a question about that. So how are you preparing them academically to succeed in a 2- or 4-year program afterwards? Because, obviously, once you get into a university, they're competing against kids who have been academically prepared by other schools. So how are you guys supporting that?
Listen, I feel good about the work that we're doing every single day in academics. I think if you were able to look at our, the MCAS scores are really only the statewide barometer that you'd have over the last 10 years. Our kids have performed as well or better than folks in the region, right? And I used to have this discussion with the Commonwealth all the time. I'm not sure that the test score was the best mechanism, right? We used to focus specifically around student growth, right? Because I think, I've said this out loud again, so I didn't vote for that, right? I think that it's important that we get to know how well our schools are actually performing, right? Because otherwise, we don't really know, right? Somebody like me can get up and talk about it all that they want, but if we can't measure the progress in some tangible way, it's difficult for taxpayers to be able to trust that process. But to the point is, I feel like our students are as academically qualified, despite only having 90 days in the classroom, as any other student. And the evidence I would point to is if you were to look at the growth percentiles or the test scores for our 10th grade students, I would put them up against any of the districts in our
Are you
area.
able to track it to see, like, did they complete their 2-year or 4 years afterwards?
So that's a little trickier.
Yep.
We do a post-secondary follow-up 1 year, that's required under the Perkins grant.
Okay.
But beyond that, it's a little bit trickier. What we are able to do, and again, this is, I think the whole discussion around the MCAS gets sidetracked, but the Commonwealth can actually provide data now for students who took the MCAS in 2005, where are they now? Right? So they're in their mid-30s now, and we could actually, if we asked, or the folks cared to ask, we could find out what the wage is or earnings are of someone who scored proficient in the 2005, 2007 space compared to students whose point needs improvement. The debate just didn't get there. It kind of got focused on teaching to the test and all these other kind of crazy things. But whatever the new solution is, in my opinion, it should be focused on making sure that schools are also held accountable. Because I think that's where the public debate around school funding and things really falls off the edge, is when you take the position that you don't want to be accountable. No, we want to be accountable. If we're accountable for that, it's easier to convince people about the why behind those kinds of things. So that's my position. By no means is it,
Yeah, thank you.
Question in regards to the new lottery system. At the time it was being discussed, what was the discussion around school choice in regards to vocational schools?
Yeah, so some vocational schools in Massachusetts have choice. We have consistently opposed choice, and I do not recommend that to the committee for the simple fact that there are more students in our region than there are available seats. And so we don't take students from outside the districts.
So I wholeheartedly, thank you very much. I could have lost my job 10 times over school choice in vocational education at Whittier. But during the discussion, was there anyone, I was not allowed during the discussion, but it's
With vocational
truly-
schools?
School choice in vocational schools is critically problematic, so
Yeah,
I'll leave it at that.
yeah.
But if you could continue advocating not to be part of school choice.
Yeah.
And I think the towns would agree that's a tough one with children wanting the vocational or education that's allowed to them from where they live, being denied and having someone from Taunton take your seat.
I'm not aware of,
That's a hard
yeah,
one.
no, I agree with you. That would certainly not be our position. I'm not aware of that being a position on a broader scale within vocational technical schools. There are some that take school choice, but my understanding is they are undersubscribed in their respective communities. I could be wrong. I don't know that to be 100% true, but certainly my position would be that we'd be a no on that until such time as there weren't enough kids in Dartmouth, Fairhaven, and New Bedford that wanted it.
Thank you.
One more step on that is we're amping up our residency requirements and follow through on that, because, folks want to come to New Bedford Voc Tech, and sometimes we get reports from Ford Middle School in Acushnet or somewhere else. Mom lives here, dad lives there, or grandma lives here, and so we have gone out and confirmed with residency checks, stayed out, make sure the kids are sleeping where they say they're sleeping, because, in my comments with moms and dads is Dartmouth's paying, right? So Dartmouth can't pay for your child if they live in Westport, right? There's a word for that, and it's called fraud, right? So, I just want you to know, I'm not promising that we've got every one, but we are aggressively looking to monitor that situation because we want to make sure that kids are actually residing in all those communities.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Do you vote on school choice every year the way
Yep.
Dartmouth does? Okay.
Yeah, it's required in the
It is
statute.
required. Okay.
Yeah. We have not had any real discussion at the school committee level for, I never in my 10 years in school leadership there, for the simple reason that I articulated.
Thank you.
Good. Any more questions? Quiet tonight. Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Very much.
And we will share the final
very much.
budget, or as we move through the final budget stage with Gary and Cody, and they're certainly welcome to share, and we'll come back if you have any other questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Very much. Thank you very much.
We look forward to another Dartmouth Jays, by the way.
Yes, thank you very much.
Definitely.
Yes, please.
Absolutely. Cookies, we're gonna come up with some new ideas.
Hard to surpass what you did this past time.
I know, they do an amazing job.
They did.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, I highly recommend, if you haven't been on, I know some of you have, but you should go. It was fabulous.
Great day.
They had their culinary students literally like lining up the napkin with the
yeah.
fork and making sure everything was perfect before they served. It was just, it was
Get a meal
fabulous.
when I went.
It was great.
I gotta go again.
You should go. I'm sure you'll learn something new,
Glasses
even
of
if you've been in the
wine.
past.
Right? That's funny.
The Finance Committee handbook.
We looked
Gary, were you able to send a copy to Cody of the
I got
comments?
it. I did get it,
Okay,
yes, thank you.
thank you.
So, Madam Chair, I don't know if this is the earlier version, I guess, that you.
This is the last version, to my knowledge, that you have.
I'm not sure if you wanted maybe just to discuss some of the changes. I don't know if you, we're probably
Well-
not going to go through it tonight with editing, right?
No. And the reason I say that, just so everybody knows, I sent an email out earlier today, so first thing this morning, I was greeted with a detailed email with suggestions and comments. And I'm sure you weren't all adhered to your email all day, just diving in and looking at that line by line. Yeah, maybe you were.
I read it.
And I read it as well, but I want to give it more, for the amount of effort that was put into it, I want to put the same effort back when I read it and go through it, because there was a lot of comments. And I don't think we can address all those tonight. That's why I certainly ask that we have it on the next agenda.
Okay.
And make sure you get a chance to read it. One of my comments would be, I want to make sure we're not duplicating what's in the infamous 167-page Finance Committee handbook that's put out by the state. And I feel like there might be some crossover there, because there was a lot of references to certain laws, et cetera. And I don't think, and that wasn't our intent, was to duplicate all that information. I mean, that's a gold mine of what finance committees should do and the laws they should adhere to and open meeting laws, et cetera, et cetera. That's why I just want to see, where it might cross over, so we can, obviously we'll take into account the
I'm
changes.
going through right now to put some things that I would suggest, and I will send it to you, and then you can.
Oh, yeah,
send it
no,
out
that's
to
what
people.
I hope everyone will do. That's what I said, it deserves our attention, because I know the moderator put a lot of attention into it. So it's going to be
She did.
for next week, please.
Okay, we'll put it on the agenda for next week, and then.
I don't know what else
Anybody that has any kind of comment, I suggest send it to Janine, and then
Yeah. and we'll-
next
and-
week we can
And
do some
we'll
editing.
dive into
Yeah,
it.
it's perfect.
And if you have, Terry, I know you like to go in and edit things too, so if you have a way that it would, I mean that in a good way, I see the smile, that it can be incorporated into a paragraph.
What I think, in looking quickly at the moderator's suggestions, I think it's helpful for us. When she came in to visit last year, she kind of steered us in a direction that people may not have been used to doing, and I feel like this committee has developed their practices over time kind of organically. It hasn't been with a look at how other committees, are run, and I think her references will be helpful.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll go through and do what I can do, and I'll send it to you, and then we can go from there.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I think that's what we'll do, is sort of move on from there at this point. So, Dartmouth School Spelling Bee?
Okay, so I was wrong last week. Janine was right. She has great memory. The option for us is to sponsor a team. That's the lowest level of contribution. I don't think we want to go before that. I made that executive decision. It's $300 as a group. First thing I'm going to ask is, who wants to be on a team?
It depends on the date. I would do it.
She sent
I'm
out the
not
date.
Yeah, I gotta look at it again.
Yeah, I
didn't write
forwarded it to
down.
everybody, so that
Yeah,
everybody should have.
I gotta look at the
all the
date again.
details.
Depends on the date.
You have to make a
Let's look at-
commitment.
no, no,
Is it
well-
in the evening, right?
It's in the
It's
evening,
in the
yeah.
evening.
7
mean-
PM on April 1st.
Probably going to make us lose, but,
When is
you
it,
know.
April 1st?
Who cares?
It was a Wednesday night, I think.
I'll be
right?
there, but I'm not gonna.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not
right, it
gonna
was
be
a
on the team.
Wednesday
No,
night.
I remember that because I can't go, but anyway, so it was a Wednesday, April 1st? is that
Wednesday, April
correct?
1st, 7 PM at Dartmouth High.
I know
We should
Nate
have 2 or
expressed
3 people
that interest
anyway.
last week.
Right, Nate did say yes, or wanted to.
I can't, I'll be gone. I can't do it.
You'll do it?
No, I can't.
Oh, he said no. Are you going to do it?
I'm gonna go, but I'm not, I can't really play very well, so, no.
Terry,
gonna be on
you
a team.
can't play very
Well,
well.
maybe send, when whoever's going, probably send you, information. You can send it to me, then I can tell Jim, I'll let Jim know if you plan on attending.
Oh, but you can go just to support. You don't need, like, right? It's open to the public.
Well, the reason I ask is that then we'd be sponsoring our own team if we did
Oh, I
that.
see.
Otherwise, we would just say, here's our donation, sponsor any team that it hasn't been sponsored yet.
So either way, we should give a donation, right? If we feel like.
I'm
we
sorry?
want- Either way, we should give a donation.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it is a team or not.
Yeah, so.
what?
Oh, give a donation?
I think I gave you I think I said like $20 or something.
No, it's
Yeah.
adults.
Terry, that's a Terry
Right,
question.
so who wants to contribute? Raise your hand if you want to contribute.
I'll contribute, for
Okay,
sure.
so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
All of us.
Anybody not here? Nate said he would contribute. 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Can somebody do the calculator? 300 divided by 8? Can't do it in my head.
I can't do that one in my head either. It's terrible.
30-something.
$35.
35, call it even.
3750.
37.50
Okay,
is right.
so everybody should, and I will do Venmo if you want. So $37.50. If that's what it takes to get the money from Brian, I'll do Venmo.
That's right.
We could send Bill
I'm so
Bowles,
rich,
we
I
could
don't,
send Bill Bowles a Venmo request.
Do you have to know what my,
We have to know something about how we get a
Handle
hold
is,
of
or-
it.
Your email
Yeah.
or your phone number, you
email.
can look it up.
So my email, great. But use the old email because I'm sure it's not on the.
But I can hand you a
copy.
check or cash?
Do it the select board team.
Say it again?
Check or cash as well?
She does, yes,
Oh,
she'll
yeah, you
take
can do
anything.
cash, yeah.
Not credit cards.
Not a check.
No credit cards.
I would collect it all and then I'll write one check.
So next week,
From
you
the
would like
finance
all the
committee.
donations given
Yep.
to you, and you can handle it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you set up your Venmo already?
Say it again?
Did you set up Venmo already?
Oh, I have it set, my nephew set it up for me. It's just, it's not very, I'm not very comfortable with it. But
I
I
can
will, I should get comfortable because that's the way of the world, right?
There's a name on it, and when the meeting is done, if I can get the name to make sure I'm sending
Patrick
it
said
to the right.
my, it's just my email. So it's my old email, THAMM
Okay.
111176 @gmail.
So they don't take checks?
Yeah, they'll take checks too.
I write Terry a check because I didn't
Money
want to put her on the
orders.
spot about Venmo.
Whatever you like.
She's one of my few checks in a year, she knows that.
I could also write a check, it's no big deal.
Or are
to
you
write
doing a
check.
team? Because that looks like the deadline was yesterday, so we'll want to get it to them.
We're not gonna do it, we're just gonna sponsor somebody.
$37.50 to Terry next
No
week.
Oh,
matter what, they'll take money.
Yes, right.
They will take money.
$10
Yeah, we'll
yeah.
just do that, we'll go support.
It's too bad that it'd be nice to have a team if we're gonna, I'd like to sponsor a team, our own team, but.
Terry has asked us every year for at least 4 or 5 years, I seem to
Yeah, but she doesn't
recall.
wanna be on the team.
No, no,
so-
but I'm just saying, so we should anticipate it, is my point.
Yeah, next year.
It's not like it's a
Gary said he
surprise.
volunteered to be team captain.
Thank you, Gary.
Horrible speller.
I can't spell B, I spell it B-E-A, yeah, I dragged the team down.
Well, that'd be my worry.
No problem. Humiliate the finance committee in
Terry
front of
will organize
everyone.
that. You'll organize that. with the- with the
Yeah,
group.
people
Okay,
will send it to me and I'll send it to Bess Cunningham.
okay. All righty.
Okay.
All right.
Town administrators
Bess
update?
Coughlin.
Coughlin.
I knew what you meant. Let's see, we've been diligent, we had a budget advisory group this morning, the meeting, and Mr. Kiley presented the budget to the group then. We're meeting again next Tuesday to really hopefully start to dive into the overall town budget, and, start to look at, maybe we can find some areas of concession, so on and so forth. As you know, we are about $1.6 million short in what the schools are requesting, and there's really, we don't see an area that we're not gonna come up with an additional $1.6 million. We may be able to, find a couple $100,000 here and there as we get actual dollar amounts for health insurance, Greater New Bedford Voc Tech. It was a little bit less than we initially had budgeted, so you free up a little bit of money there, but not 1.6 million.
Did anybody discuss an override study committee? Did they not want to use
No,
the O word?
not at today's meeting.
No, in today's meeting.
Could it be discussed next week? Because I ask only because it is getting late, and it would be great for us to get going on that, whoever's going to do it, earlier than later.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also, too, Cody, one thing on the revenues also, we're still waiting for the House budget has not even been approved yet. So we're a little bit late with well, not us, but the state's a little bit late with that. So we're starting to see, we'll see what the next round of cherry sheet, well, called cherry sheet, chapter 70 and chapter 90 money's coming at. We're hoping that hopefully, cross our fingers, it's a little bit more, or at least stays the same, and doesn't get cut from the governor's budget. So, the House budget and then Senate Ways and Means, and then so on and so forth. So we're already in April. I'm hoping that it's gonna come out soon.
Yeah, they're working on it now.
Yeah.
I think they'll wait till after April 15th and you get tax receipts. I mean,
That could be, yeah.
Yeah, it's-
That could be.
Bad news is gonna be bad news, why not wait?
Yeah, I mean, we're also concerned, I'm sure you're acutely aware that there is the potential for a ballot question to lower the income tax in Massachusetts from 5% to 4%. If that were to happen, that would have significant impacts on our state aid as well. So we're trying to be cognizant of that.
Yeah,
So
and if
that-
they're planning ahead, it could also affect 26's numbers.
Right.
Do you know if there's any organizing committee that's explaining what the impact of that would be?
Well, there are committees that have discussed the overall impact to the state, but it all would depend how the state allocates what those impacts would be, because essentially they would just have less revenue. They're not saying at this point where they would, provide those cuts at the state level, but we can be sure, just given what the budget, the governor's budget is proposed for next year, the minimal increases, you can anticipate that if they have even less revenue, it's gonna be one of the places that gets hit.
Yeah, and it won't be hundreds of millions, it'll probably be up to $1 billion in tax.
Cody, the budget that school committee presented this morning, is it the same budget that we saw? Is
It
that
is.
number
Nope, it's the same budget that you saw.
changed at all?
Nope, it's the
I asked that because in years past, that's been a moving target up to
Yeah.
town meeting, and
The school,
it's
yeah.
still the same number.
It is. The school committee at their last meeting had said that essentially they were staying strong with that number and going to move forward with that request. And so we do have a joint meeting with the select board on Monday over at the schools. That's their public budget hearing as well. We're hopeful that we're able to make some progress there with that and,
You're going to have some Pepsi at that meeting?
yeah. And just try to come up with, something that we can afford at this point that, hopefully isn't too dramatic in cuts to anybody. So it's definitely a challenge.
We also, at that meeting, it's not posted as a finance committee meeting, but everyone is invited, as I said in the past, so.
I'll be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the 1.6, I'm sorry, when they were here, when the school committee was here, there was a level services, and then there was a level services plus, or, I'm sorry, I don't remember. Is the 1.6 the totality of level services plus? Because wasn't level services around 4%? I just don't remember the numbers.
Level service was 5.1, 5.2%. And then their full request was a little less than 7. I think it was 6.9, give or
6.85.
take, yeah.
And so the 1.6 is representative of the higher.
Gary, can you send us the agenda and time of that meeting next week when it comes out?
Yeah, we can
meeting
send
is that?
it.
It's
The
Monday.
Monday's meeting, the agenda and time.
Oh, yeah.
We can forward it
Is
to
It
you.
is posted already.
Is it at the
Oh, the
high
school,
school?
they posted it?
It's at the high
Oh,
school,
okay, so there
right?
is a time, what times is that?
The meeting starts at 6. We anticipate the joint discussion to start around 7. They do like school highlights, spotlights every meeting, so they're starting with that. And then the budget hearing into the joint meeting. Gary and I are preparing a overall budget presentation to go over and just give some baseline
The joint
information.
meeting is where?
At the high school,
Media room.
Okay.
yeah, the meeting.
Media
yep,
room, right?
Exactly. yeah.
So you just walk in the main entrance, keep walking.
Yep.
So that'll be next week. Additionally, some relatively good news. We procure our energy, so, the town procures our own electricity contracts, our own natural gas contracts. Typically, we get a little bit of a better rate because we're buying so much. Our gas contract timing, we didn't think was gonna be great because our natural gas contract is up in early 2027. When the conflict in the Middle East started, our energy manager approached Gary and I and said, hey, I think we should price this out before the market really gets hit with this.
Yeah.
We executed a new natural gas contract about 2 days before the prices really saw an increase. And so we were able to lock in for another 3 years. Net increase based on usage across town is about $10,000 a year increase.
Congratulations.
We were anticipating
job.
hundreds of thousands potentially, so.
So
And we
fortunate.
saw the market
that was really good.
skyrocketed within days after
Timing. 2
executing.
2 days before.
Yeah, 2
Yeah.
days.
The
Well
oil
done.
prices were like
Yeah.
up in the
Seriously.
hundreds.
And now I think you're seeing, one of the largest natural gas areas
Yeah.
just got hit, so we definitely got in. at a good
Do
time.
they have a back-out clause in that contract at all that you know of?
We locked in. Yep, we
Yay.
locked in.
Even for extraordinary
Yep.
circumstances, they have to honor that. Good, that's good.
Yeah.
I'd love to see a clause like that. Can
Yeah,
you-
right? Like,
Extraordinary
no one, don't talk about it.
You gotta think over time that the profit's there.
Oh, yeah.
To cover.
Yeah.
They have their own buffer built in for
Right.
cases where it's tripled, probably.
This is a
in
big
future.
unknown right now, though.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
The vendor? Installation?
No, we are using NRG.
NRG, thank you.
NRG, yeah.
That's really an incredible thing to have happen for the town.
It is, yeah.
In this economic
really.
environment, in this worldwide
done.
environment, and the efficiency efforts that we're making. So congratulations on both of you on that, congratulations.
Yeah, no, it's a team effort.
very good
And
news.
then on health insurance, just an update there. We have identified an alternative for health insurance. We have proposed it to all of our unions. We have public meetings for all of our employees next week. And essentially, the savings among the town and the employees collectively is about $2 million a year.
Excellent.
So if we're able to accomplish this, it allows us to become much more competitive in what our rates, our increases, our contribution towards these plans will be. I think one of the biggest, I couldn't believe it, if you go from, based on the numbers, we have an HMO, a PPO, then we have a high deductible HMO and a high deductible PPO. If you go from the current HMO plan, right now what you're paying with the set where it's looking at about an 8% increase as of July 1st, what that number is for an employee on a family plan, if we make these changes and they switch to the high deductible HMO plan, the employee will save $11,400 a year.
Holy cow.
That's
a lot of money.
Maya?
No, we're looking to leave Maya.
How long can you lock in those rates?
Well, I mean, you don't lock
Yeah,
in, you
yeah,
can't lock in
but,
health insurance rates, yeah.
That's unfortunate.
Is there
Yeah,
a-
well,
I
but
know.
we can't lock in rates with
No,
Maya.
no, nobody
We're seeing-
can.
We're seeing huge increases from Maya.
Some guarantee over the first couple year minimum,
Nope,
max,
Yeah,
okay.
you can't get
All
that.
right.
No JPA will ever,
No.
Yeah, I
And
know.
it's because, the health insurance market is just too volatile. But that is a huge savings for our
Yeah.
employees.
No, that's fantastic. Was there a buy-in?
The buy-in is very minimal. It's, some of the providers we were looking at were in the millions
Right.
of range. This was 220,000,
yeah,
250,000, something that we're able to make up for, yeah.
Remind me, I recall you saying something that this is, like a local, like.
Yeah, Southeastern Mass Health
Right.
Group is the group that we're looking at.
Yeah,
They consist of about 10 other communities at this point.
yeah.
pretty much the same
So there's a
like
big
in kind
benefit to
plans.
that.
So, Blue Cross is still Blue Cross.
Yeah.
The thing with Maya was, we've been with Maya since, I think, 2012. It's the overhead. I mean, Maya is expensive. I mean, they do great things for the town and wellness programs and all that, but
Right.
you pay for that. You pay
Right.
for that over the years. And, if we would've looked at this probably 10 years ago and locked in a rate, they've been around since 2019, South Coast. There would probably been potential savings to the town, cumulative into the millions. If we're saving $2 million this year, $1 million,
Yeah.
Amazing.
so.
Wow.
Yeah, thank you for doing the footwork on that. That was a lot of work.
It's nice to have good news.
Fingers
during-
crossed, it's not done yet. We gotta get all of our unions to agree.
Agree, yep.
You know, things look good. The challenge is we have to have this done by April 1st.
It's a very short time frame, yeah.
First. Yeah, we're steamrolling toward there.
We may not make the spelling bee.
The 11,
11 bargaining units, 11 out of 11, or is it 2/3 out of 11?
11 out of 11.
11 out of 11, and they're all at the libraries. I see all the meetings at the libraries when I went on.
Oh, yeah, they're all over the place.
They're all over the place, so congratulations on that, and good
Not
luck.
congratulations yet, but.
I know, but
Good
really,
luck,
good
yeah.
luck, good, really.
I'll be
hoping-
optimistic.
Yeah, I am optimistic
We are
because
optimistic, yeah.
it would be a shame to let this pass because the benefits that they're gonna receive are very similar and it's really hard to get good health insurance. So this is like the best of both worlds. You're still gonna get good health insurance, but you're not gonna have to pay as much. And I just,
Yeah, and through the
for anybody
IAC
to
group
not
that
do
we
it.
have and the HISC, the steering committee that we have, we've heard it directly from the employees. I mean, you've seen it in the past where, it's unaffordable. It really is unaffordable.
You're
And-
working for your health insurance.
Right, and some employees, that's the case, and so
Yes.
we're trying to make that as less burdensome as possible going forward. And like
Yeah.
Cody mentioned, $11,000 this year, but that's, over multiple years. You're gonna be saving that for quite some time, and we hope that
Yeah.
if you looked at the trend at the South Coast Group, they're averaging 4.5%, 5% each year,
Mm-hmm.
where Maya was double digits. Some communities even paying 19, up to 19%, so, that is
No.
that is not like saving $100, that's thousands of dollars.
Yeah,
19%.
And for us not to do our due diligence, we have to do, at least explore it.
yeah. Thank you.
Good news. Yay.
Yeah, it is good news. So hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yep.
Everybody all together. Is
I think
that,
that's pretty much the highlights for now.
liaison reports? I'm gonna look at you, John Souza, because I know you had a meeting this week.
CPC met this week, and they recommended all 5
Oh, good.
projects being forwarded at town meeting, so,
Any special caveats, anything like that? I haven't watched the meeting.
no.
Excellent.
Can I make one comment?
Yes.
I went to the first CPC meeting, and I just absolutely, positively was thrilled to see that in action, to hear that in action. It was passionate, all 5 projects were passionate, and I particularly enjoyed very much the agricultural presentation. I'm gonna get these names wrong because I'm still learning the area. But the gentleman from Bricks Bounty, which I call the Hut, when he was speaking about commodity farming in Dartmouth is just a godsend. It's glorious. Commodity farming is what the farmers that are struggling out in the middle of our country are struggling with commodities that they're selling to feed kids in your public schools across the country. But to go and get a fresh tomato, 1 head of lettuce, 1 onion, and 1 potato for our elderly community, because that's all they need in their fresh backyard, and to save that with CPC money, which was the original intent, if you will, I just think it's phenomenal. So, John, thank you for your work in that regard. Thank you very much.
I'll have Buddy come in at the next meeting to go over the.
Oh,
articles,
next
Like
week.
we usually do. I'll invite him in.
Yes, perfect, so we can hear more about the projects.
Yes.
Et cetera. Yeah. That'd be great.
I was at the Board of Health meeting last night, and there's really nothing to bring forward to the Finance Committee. There was nothing in there that was going to affect the Finance Committee, so.
I always enjoyed those meetings with
Yeah,
some of the
really,
things that
it
they
was-
have, that you learn about
Yeah.
how high goats can jump and things like that. I don't know, I just found it different because it's not something you think about every day, but they
Yeah.
deal with a lot of things like that you're like, oh.
Yeah. Yep.
It's
Yeah,
not-
there
It
was,
was unexpected the first time I listened in on a meeting.
yeah, it has been enlightening, but nothing for Finance Committee.
So Capital Improvement Committee has pretty much, they're finishing up. And at the last meeting, the library and the Waterways Department presented, and they didn't really have a request for this year, but they wanted to put on the radar concerns, for example, around the Southworth Library being more updated and, what was the thing from what, I can't remember what the thing was from what it was, but what I remember and what I hope continues is the advanced planning, because remember that those lists for 5 years, they're going out longer now, and the fact that the Southworth Library needs to be updated will not be news. And when they talk about it, when it's going to be done, I really appreciate the advanced planning on that. Did I forget anything else on capital?
No, CIPC has wrapped up
Yeah.
their meetings with all the departments. So next week, actually, there's 2 openings on the committee. They've interviewed 4 individuals, so they'll make a recommendation next week on 2 out of those 4 individuals. They, and then they also reviewed the master capital plan. They'll be making they've already made recommendations, but we're finalizing that next week, so potentially next week will be the last meeting for 27, and then make the recommendations for town meeting.
Can I ask one question?
Of course.
With respect to liaison, the kitchen at our senior center, the alt ads for the floor and the lighting in the community center was an awesome alt ad to put forward. And I just was wondering how that might come about, or what's the status of that project?
Oh, sure. We have a COA board meeting next week, but essentially they had to come back out to add the ceiling in. So the engineering firm that we've hired was out a couple weeks ago. They're going to have final design docs to us, supposed to be tomorrow, actually. And then once we approve them, it'll get out to bid.
Thank you very much. That's an awesome alt ad there.
It is,
It's
yeah.
similar to what made me think of it was the Southworth Library, and when we had the fabric fair this weekend, so I thought of that. So thank you very much.
Any more liaison reports?
Oh, one thing to add, Carrie had brought this up previously about Parks and Rec, the request to transfer that position. So I had a productive meeting with them at their last meeting, and they understand why it shouldn't be transferred now. And
Thank
so
you.
they've no longer have that request for it to be transferred. They're going to leave it where it is.
Thank you,
And I
Cody.
think we have a good path forward with them, so,
Greatly appreciated.
yeah, no, it's a good thing.
I did miss that last meeting.
You missed a good one.
Darn it.
Did you want to give the liaison report?
Yeah, no, that was the essence of the meeting.
Okay. Minutes.
Sets of minutes you have, and I know you had emailed me
Yes.
on the, you have.
Motion to approve the February 12th meeting minutes as printed.
Do we have a second on the February 12th meeting?
I'll second.
Seconded by Patrick. Any comments, concerns, whatever? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I have to abstain.
Ryan abstains. Any opposed? No.
Motion to approve the February 19th Finance Committee meeting minutes as printed.
I'll second.
I had one comment on that, which I sent to Gary, actually. It not necessarily makes for a correction or anything, but I just happened to note, the details are great now. I do think the details have come a tremendous long way with the new person that's doing the minutes now. But I noticed in the section about the reserve fund transfer, I thought that's one that could have a hair more detail, because it didn't say the amount, it didn't say what it was for. And it literally just was like, they made a motion and they passed it.
Yeah, I'll contact her and just let her know that whenever the committee's making any kind of recommendation or motions, obviously, when we do the warrant, she's not gonna put every single line item on the warrant, but when that gets approved, but any kind of reserve fund transfers or anything like that, I'll make sure that she includes those dollar amounts in the minutes for the record.
Right.
I'll contact her.
I thought that'd be more important.
Thanks for bringing that
I mean,
up,
I have
Jean.
to also abstain from February 12th. I just checked my calendar and I wasn't here. Thanks.
So noted. But we can approve these minutes without that, of course. So, I'm sorry, John, you made a motion to approve the minutes. Do we have a second?
Seconded.
Seconded by Patrick. All in favor?
Aye.
I abstain.
Ryan abstains.
For that one, too.
Deirdre abstains. Any opposed? No. So passes. just, Gary, just briefly, so next week we have Buddy Baker-Smith.
Yep.
Finance Committee Handbook.
And any further updates we have, well, obviously would have already had the joint meeting with the schools, so
Correct.
maybe we can have some
Maybe
discussion
something will
on
have
that.
changed.
Yeah.
And also, we'd have another
Still update
a
on
budget
that,
advisory
that's
group
all.
meeting on that Tuesday. We have
Tuesday
another
morning, bright and early.
Advisory group scheduled.
If you haven't had a chance to read the articles on what's happening in Middleborough, Lakeville, Freetown school districts, it puts things into perspective, I think, that it can always be a lot worse. And
Yeah.
so,
Oh,
I read that, yeah, that
if you haven't
was,
had a chance to read what's going on in Middleborough and their general budget, and then also Freetown, Lakeville, they're looking at, if their override doesn't pass, eliminating 50 positions in their school
Yeah.
system.
But they're also got an interim town manager who's the. reti-
Middleborough, yeah, yeah.
Middleborough
Middleborough.
does.
Interim town manager who's the retired
Police
police
chief,
chief
yeah.
who
Yeah.
wants to stop town meeting and move it because it's.
Well, he's trying to get a handle on what.
The budget,
what-
yeah.
Yeah, he's trying to get a handle on the
Right.
budget, but I think the point is, even on the, forget, take away the schools in that, in that town, the municipal budget is still out of whack.
Lakeville.
Boy.
So this is,
Lakeville's already
the point is that
frozen.
this is accumulation over a number of years in communities like that haven't take
Not.
proactive approach to, to being, good stewards of the
you know,
finances.
what's
if you will.
interesting about that, I recall the town budget side versus the school was higher than the schools in the Dartmouth. It's just to reverse what your trend notice is that we've always funded the school more than we fund the town. And that town, it's genuinely, the
reverse.
trend has been just the opposite.
Exactly.
So very interesting
Very,
to see
yeah.
them, that school department take hit after hit after hit.
And they're looking for override, they're looking for an
pretty
override too.
fortunate
Immediately,
Right.
like immediately.
Right.
They've already scheduled it.
And how do you plan and how, that's,
I think they've already scheduled. I've never seen somebody,
yeah.
This is a level of desperation there.
There certainly is. And Whitman Hanson mentioning
Yes.
that last week or 2 weeks ago was just, I had nightmares for 3 nights. Thank you, Cody.
Sorry about that.
But that was something.
We don't want to be in that
No, you don't.
situation.
And that is all I have.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
Do we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.